Morning all, I am Pete, also known as Risk for Rewards. It is Derby day, we're not going to mess around. I've got just over 7,000 followers on Twitter, so if you want to follow me, go over there and that's where you'll find my day-to-day or anti-post selections. So straight into it, Derby day. Right, 2 o'clock, the Cazoo Handicap. I'm not going to go too much into this because we don't have the time to go through all the handicap form. Mr. Big Stuff, very unlucky last time. Willing to give him another chance. It's currently 4-1. Wouldn't be knocked off that. Same with Knowlton Cross. He's my other selection. So we're going to back both. I have backed both of those two in the race. Dutched, which means obviously you split the stakes across the two. A little bit more emphasis on the 235, the Princess Elizabeth Stakes. We've got Potapova, who if you backed her last year, you're thinking not very good. The form is, and she's not been too kind. Her form is actually not too bad from last year, but she just couldn't get her head in front. But typical stout improver is what we're hoping to see. Last year she did come fourth behind Villa de Grace, Waliak, who's now rated 106, Saffron Beach, who's rated 115, sorry. Then next time out, messed around the stalls, 10th, ran no race, lost lengths at the start, was a no-show. Big return on comeback behind Ronan Mist, who was on a big run at the time. She came second after being held up, just failed to get up. In third was Maestro, who's rated 115. I know this isn't a handicap, but it just shows that they've got the ratings. In fourth was Lola Showgirl, who's just won and is now rated 105. So there was form in behind as well. It's a Group 3. She's stepping up in trips to 9 furlongs, and we're going for a stout 4-year-old improver. She's achieved ratings over 100 last year, whereas most of them didn't. The rest are achieving ratings over 100 this year. So we're hoping that, obviously putting 2 and 2 together, she's played none of her hand yet. So she may need to find £10, but she could easily have £10 or more. She's got Ryan Moore in the saddle, and she's now currently priced for 4-1. I think that's more than fair. The front two, Bash Shakova and Miss Fitzherbert, met last time. Miss Fitzherbert came out on top. And no doubt those two will set the standard. And like if Potapova fails to fire, then it could be those two that fight out the finish. But she's not played her hand, and I'm willing to give that one a go. Onto the 310, the Cazoo Diomed Stakes. I came into this I wanted to take on the favourite originally when it was 4-5. Then it went to evens. I thought, well, that's fair, and it's going to be back at 4-5, 4-6 on the day. And now it's drifted all the way out to 7-4. So then you get the opposite, and it starts to become a concern of why the horse keeps drifting. And as I spoke, it's literally just gone to 15-8. So those aren't good vibes. But I mean, it was good times last time out at Windsor. Good sectionals, hit the line well. Egg and spoon race, beat nothing, but did everything right. It was the horse in the moment, in the time. The best, the fastest, it's just improving, and completely battered Tempest very easily last time out. The form in the Lincoln obviously was well fancied, was set to go off favourite before a slight drift. Finished, I think it was 5th there, but then avenged the form next time out by winning the same against most of the similar horses. And the form in behind the horses like Isla Kai and is it Bear? I can't remember what it was, the horse that keeps coming second. Like that's all very solid form. So I don't really understand the drift, to be honest, as much as it's concerning. The money's come from Mutasabek in behind, which after them landing their gamble yesterday with Hookham, maybe it's similar connections going for another touch. Maybe they like targeting Epsom. So that could well be the case. I mean, it just says to me, just go steady rather than have a proper bet and a proper go at it. And the other one for me is Zakooski. Don't want to leave that one out just because it is a bigger price. It's 8-1. But if you go back to its last win last time it ran in Britain, it won at Newmarket very well. It's got some solid form in Maidan. And it's got the ratings to go very well here. It just looks like a very tricky horse. So more than happy to row in with both of those two. Onto the dash. Really like both my fancies in the dash. The downside is it's a dash. It's 5 furlongs, throw them down the hill, let them roll, and just see how they get on. So you could hit all the trouble in running, you may not. There's nearly always going to be a pace collapse in the dash because they go so hard, so fast. High numbers went well last year and generally have fared well. As we saw yesterday, they did split in the Oaks and they come down either side. Emily Upjohn up the high number rail, and down the other side there was Tuesday. We don't know where the Golden Highway is. Last year, Stone of Destiny decided he was drawn high and decided to try and come up the rail. Absolute horror ride. Waited and waited and waited. Everyone else pushed along, just trying to find a gap, Determined, D'Souza was determined to get on the rail. Finally got to the rail and got up and finished in 3rd. That was off 102. Current now runs off 92, so £10 lower this year, and we've had a jockey change. I'm not saying because D'Souza can do a job, he just wasn't his best on the day. 13-2 currently, and is going to be is drawn back on towards that rail. I just think if it's obviously going to have been the plan after such a big run last year, and if there's a race laid out for it, this is it. So the pace will collapse again. If you can hold them up, but get that rail. If you get that rail, get down that line, and don't meet all the running traffic, then every chance to be in the money. You also get very good place terms here, probably up to about 7 places. So if you are someone who doesn't like to back win bet, in case you do get done on the each way, then you've got that opportunity. The other one's Mukatil. Mukatil, let me just check. Last three runs here off 86, 82, 82, won all three. And that's including winning this race last year. So while Stone of Destiny was getting in trouble, Mukatil was also well off the bridle, but in the centre of the pack, came straight up the middle. Off the bridle, one of the earliest, but just it gets the final furlong, just finds wings, sprouts wings, and bang, gone. Very hard to see that out of the places, especially in the first 7. And that's currently priced 9-1. If you're a win-only player, it could well win again. You've got Harry Davies' claim again, and we're on a mark of 87. So we're only £5 higher than last year, but Harry Davies takes off £5. Obviously, he's already won this year off 82, which is why we're now on 87. But I'd be not shocked, but I'd be very disappointed if Mukatil's not going close, especially as it's one that just is going to be staying on at the death. So it makes a perfect place sort of horse if that's the sort of thing for you. On to the big one, the one we're all waiting for, and we've got the Derby. Look at a few stats. Lowest 2 stalls don't want to be there, highest 2 don't want to be there, but this year doesn't really make too much difference because the main protagonists aren't in those stalls. Obviously Stout and O'Brien both have great records in the race and dominate it. And the difference is with the Derby is a bit like a Supreme Novice Hurdle. Some of these horses have only had like 2 runs. You're trying to bet a classic, thinking, oh yeah, this is the next big thing. Yeah, and it is. There's so much guesswork. Stone Age wasn't the best as a juvenile, but like O'Brien did with Concert Hall and Tuesday yesterday, he kept him at that trip. And then as soon as he stepped him up, that's when he's found that improvement. So he'd be what's called, for me, like the solid one. And I'm not sure how much you rate. Both O'Brien and Appleby have the best records, recent records in this race, but both of them have gone for the dartboard approach in the fact that they may have 1, they may have 2, they've thrown like 3 or 4 in each. So sometimes that means they don't have 1 at all. But we aren't to know. I'm going to stick to my selections and just Walker Stars is the horse to follow for me at the bigger prices, 16-1. I haven't decided if I'm going to back him today because he's very green, he just looks like a big baby still. It wasn't like Adiar last year came second in the same Lingfield trial, but it was more he was just beaten on the day, whereas Walker Stars showed plenty of greenness, quirks, and this is a pretty quirky track. I could easily see him running into like a 3rd or 4th here and then going to Royal Ascot and going very well in like a Group 1 in a more conventional track. So he's definitely one to keep on side, but if he wins, it wouldn't surprise me. So maybe one for a free bet or a small bet later on. But it's all about Desert Crown for me. There's no real getting away from it. You can currently get Desert Crown to win here and the Arc. You could be, and that's a 20-1. You could be wrong twice. You could be right twice. It doesn't really make much odds. You can only go on what you've seen in front of you. His only real form he's got is obviously a Nottingham Maiden on soft ground, which should cover if the rain comes. And he's got it obviously on the good ground in the Dante. The form in behind, Royal Patronage was backed from double figures into 4-1 in behind. Had form with Caribus, but was well beaten in the Guineas. So like you really don't have a lot to go on. You're just relying on this horse as hopefully the next superstar. Michael Stout is a judge, and if you see some of the way he's talked about this horse, he's talked very little, but Lydia Hibbslop did a bit of a chat with him, and you look at the way he's just got that little smile. He doesn't want to give too much away. He doesn't want to make a fool of himself by saying it's a big, but you feel like this is a big one for him. Drawn in stall 12 or 14, so we'll be coming from the out wide. Could well take a very similar route to Emily Upjohn. The only thing you always ask for in a classic, in a big Group 1, is just please don't get in trouble. Richard King Scott, huge ride for him, because if you want to be a Group 1 big stable jockey, like these sort of rides, you land this one, if the horse has got the ability, then this is what gets you the stout job with like going forwards. You have to be winning these, and then you get the Royal Ascot horses. So this is a big moment for him. I just hope it doesn't go to his head. I don't think it will. He's well experienced. And also, it's not like he's an odds-on 4 to 7 shot. He's not going to have a huge target on his back. Just stay clear. He's going to come down the outside because he's drawn wide. So he should just be able to tuck it from the outside. The horse had the best temperament. On the Dante, I was very unsure the way it drifted all the way out. But going to the start, you'd think it was a dab hand on his 9th or 10th run. He was so cool as a cute, and exactly the same in the race. I mean, he went away, just nudged away, one crack of the whip, see you later, game over. And yeah, you can only beat what's put in front of you. And we've got no idea what's in behind here, but there could be nothing in behind here, and he could be a superstar. So we'll see. At the end of the day, 9 to 4 now. Hopefully we'll see a few boosts with Betfred, maybe out to like 3 to 1 or something. You may pick up a bit of 5 to 2, and then I'd expect him to get backed in probably to maybe 6 to 4 or something. But yeah, I'm not going to go putting up loads in the race because I like the favourite. So Desert Crown for me. So good luck on Derby Day and enjoy the bank holiday.